Hey guys, so I'm going to be going over Studio 3 for Unit 1. Some classes got to go over it in class and some did not, so I'm going to show you how to do it from the home page, and I'm in student view, so this should look like what you see. So if you scroll down to Unit 1, it says we are here. Then you scroll down and you find Studio 1 on the bottom right. It should open you up to this page. I'm not going to go through all the assessment stuff like I did with the Studio 1 just because I kind of feel like you probably have the gist by now. The Studio is due February 9th at 11:59 p.m. So you've got just under a week maybe to work on this. And I encourage people to work on it as soon as possible just because it is going to help you with your research and possibly with your presentation. So if you click on Studio 3, it will open you up to the first two steps. So there are 4 steps. There's no Padlet or anything like extra complicated. You can open one Word document, as it kind of explains here in this green area. You can open one document and just submit that at the end of the activity. And the goal here, kind of the objective, is just to kind of get started with your research. Look at some overview sources, like the kinds of things we went over in class. Things like Wikipedia that are more, reference-like, or lists of facts or general information that can help you get started with your research. Things like being able to just word your LOI in a way that explains what you want to know about it. Figure out what it is that you don't know about this issue yet that you might want to do a little research into. Help you come up with some search terms, questions to ask to help you break down your research the way we practiced in class, and some ideas to explore later. So I'm not going to go through the assessment again because we've done that already. It's the same in this activity as it was in the other ones. Step 1 is just to go read something. There's nothing to write down just yet. I want you to go find a Wikipedia page. Most people are able to find a Wikipedia page that's either their issue, some broader general issue related to what they're doing, some smaller, more specific aspect of their issue. If you can't find anything on Wikipedia that's useful to you in some way, you're welcome to branch out and find some other reference sources, like encyclopedias, other about pages and general information you might find on an organization website, web pages that offer things like lists of facts, background history, timelines, summaries, things like that. And if you feel like you can't find anything that you can use for this just to get you off the ground, you're welcome to ask for some help with this. Step 2 is to use what you find, so make some notes. I don't have a lot of minimums. People kind of make notes and record different ways. If you're not doing enough, obviously I will let you know, and you will need to revise later. What I want you to do is read through the page that you've selected and explain the gist of the issue that you're looking into, or the aspect of it, in 2 or 3 sentences based on what's on that page in your own words. And make some notes on some different perspectives involved in that issue. What groups kind of seem to be invested, what their opinions or concerns are. If you can't find it on one page, you're welcome to branch out and look at a few different pages. Write down at least 3 focus questions, so the ones we kind of practiced in class. They help you sort of break down your issue a little bit into some smaller goals. As we said, if you search the same, for the same big question, the same couple of words over and over again, you're going to get the same list of results over and over again. So the goal is to break down your research, so you're focusing on thinking about what you don't know about the issue, on learning and thinking about what information you need that you don't have already on this issue. So I'm going to open this in a new tab. But if you go here, this kind of reviews some of the things that we went through in class on that presentation. It uses the same standardized testing kind of example that we looked at. It has those 10 questions that we kind of looked at in class. And some help if you click here. And help for search terms if you kind of need some help with that. So there's some assistance there if you need a little bit of help. Write down at least 4 searchable terms, so words like people, issue specific like terminology, organization names, laws, policies, events, things that you come across in your reading that you don't know anything about, but you know are part of this issue that you would need to look up later. And record some of the sources listed at the end. That's another thing we said was good for Wikipedia specifically, and possibly some of these other overview sources. They do have some good references at the end that you might be able to use later. And then you click Next for step 3, which is going to be to use what you've read and what you recorded on that page to actually go get your research started. So there are 3 requirements for your research notes here. The first one is to obviously do some research. Look up some of the terms you found, some of the questions you put on your list, some of the perspectives you don't know much about, and then record. Make notes on what you found on some of these dates, terms, perspectives. You can use it in your presentation if you engage in this before your presentation date, or you can use it later as we move into Unit 2. List some of the terms, dates that you looked up, write down what you found in your own words. You can copy and paste some things like quotes or numbers you want to keep later, but you want to make sure you're writing in your own words as much as possible, or adding comments about why things are significant to you if you're copying and pasting them. And record any source info that you might need, like a page, article title, author, publication date if you're planning on using it for your presentation, and to cite. Provide me some hyperlinks. We'll get more into citations later, but for now, provide me some hyperlinks so I can access your sources if I want to. And then you're going to click Next for step 4. And then this is just to reflect a little bit on what you found, to do some kind of comparisons with some of the information that you found. So you're going to write a reflection, and you're going to hit 5 sort of points here. So explain what you learned. So any new perspectives you maybe came across, new terms, new information, that kind of stuff. Talk about some specific sources. Provide some hyperlinks if you haven't already previously. Think about how it compared to some of the information. So how did stuff you found on some of the other sites compare or contrast to what you found on Wikipedia? Was there any overlaps? Did you feel like you were reading some of the same stuff? If so, talk about which things were kind of that overlap or repetitive. Next point is to think about how credible you found some of those sources. Did you come across anything that did seem to be content farms? Here's some points, or 3 points to kind of think about to help you break this down. So the first one is explain sources that you felt like you came across that were useful, that did have credible author or information. Anything that seemed, any sources you came across that seemed more in depth or useful than some of the other ones that stood out to you. Or explain which ones seemed questionable that you came across for whatever reason. Use of ads, references, credibility. Next point is, was there anything that seemed particularly surprising to you that you didn't know already? Was there anything you came across that you weren't really expecting to find or really stood out to you for some reason? And obviously, where could you go from here? The goal is always that if you're really doing this right and looking for things and reading closely, that you are going to end up with more questions than answers. So it should always be asking questions, reading, finding something, asking a new question. So with the information you have now, where could you go? What new questions do you have? And this is 400 to 450 words, so it's maybe a page and a half, something like that. If you're using normal font, Times New Roman, 12-point font, double space, normal, like 1-inch margins, that kind of thing. So if you click on Next, it should prompt you to submit. And you should get a page that looks like this, and you can click Submit Assignment up here. You can submit website URL, use your Dropbox, use a Google Drive. You can add multiple files. Obviously, if you do have multiple files, I don't think you should have multiple files for this one. You can select Choose File here. When you're done, hit Submit Assignment. And then you are done. Please email me if you have any questions. Ask me, your presentation date in class if you run into any problems. And again, if there is anything, obviously, that I need more from you after the first submission, then, of course, I'll let you know and you can revise it. Okay?